The Golden State Warriors have a problem.
You were asked playing with Steph, playing with LeBron, and you said either playing with LeBron.
So the question was, who did you enjoy playing with more?
Okay.
LeBron or Steph? My answer was, I enjoyed playing with LeBron the first year on the Lakers because I was the starting center.
Right.
I had my career high 30 and 20 game.
Right.
And I had a career high in points that year.
Right.
So enjoyment, yes, I enjoyed succeeding.
LeBron allowed you to feel like, because a lot of people are like, man, all Javale can do is be a backup. He come in and give you 5 points, 3 rebounds, and a block, and that's it. He allowed you all those lobs, all those alley hoop, the screen, the pick and pop.
Exactly.
You're like, man, if I'd had this dude my whole career,
You see what I'm saying?
I might have been an all-star team or two.
Exactly. So I'm like, which one did I enjoy? I enjoyed that. I didn't enjoy not playing a lot in Golden State. I want to succeed too.
A big problem. 6 years ago, the Warriors were coming fresh off an NBA Finals appearance and raising the banner for yet another NBA championship. The following year, Golden State repeated, netting their 3rd championship in 4 years. The dynasty looked stronger than ever. In just one more year, they could easily three-peat to solidify this dynasty, up there with the likes of the Celtics and Lakers. The Warriors were on top and were the most feared team in the league. The only problem with being at the top? There's nowhere to go but down. Hey, what's happening, everyone? This is Swish Culture. At the end of the 2018 season, the Warriors made a decision that would come back and haunt them years down the line. And while on the surface it might not seem to be that big of a deal, keep watching to find out how this big problem will completely change the way you view the Golden State Warriors and the evolution of their positionless small ball. Just don't forget to subscribe to Swish Culture on our road to becoming the most entertaining basketball channel on the planet. Just recently, Javale McGee opted to sign with the Sacramento Kings. While the Kings are not yet seen as a contender, they're definitely one of the up-and-coming teams to watch as they pushed last year's defending champions to 7 games in last year's playoffs. This was a great pickup for Sacramento, and Coach Mike Brown was probably one of the main proponents behind this Class A chess move, and here's why. It wasn't only the Kings that were going after McGee. The Golden State Warriors were in fact trying to sign him before he decided to sign with an up-and-comer instead of a contender. This is a problem. Not just because he'll make the Kings better, but also because this takes away from the Warriors. A few years ago, this would have been an absurd move by McGee, but considering how the league has shaped up during and since COVID, this was a gamble worth taking for his camp. For the Warriors, though, this is a big problem. The Warriors franchise has won 4 titles in 8 years, and with the core of Steph, Clay, and Dre still intact, have the ability to win anywhere from 1 to even 3 more championships, theoretically. Whether or not they continue to do so, however, hedges on the personnel with whom they surround their core players. By the end of today's video, we'll know exactly what the Warriors need to do to maximize their chances of winning one of, or even all 3 of the next upcoming NBA championships. So, why did McGee opt to sign for the Kings instead of the Warriors? This might be baffling for some, considering he has history with Golden State. The truth is, this may be the very reason why he decided not to return. But what does the historical relationship between these two look like, and how does this fit with Javale's desire to play for a team that could win a championship? Today's video will explore this line of questioning and give you some insight as to the future of the Warriors and what their lineups may look like for years to come. For years we've been told that the Warriors have been a small ball team. While this technically isn't incorrect, the definition of small ball has changed over the years, and that's mostly because of the Warriors.
Lead, long, Looney, tip, no, Looney, yes! Looney, yes! The Warriors win it!
Compared to the small ball Warriors of 2023, the small ball Warriors of 2015 were a completely different type of team. Take for example, when the Warriors won their first modern day NBA championship back then, small ball basically meant that your primary offense was built around your small guards playing below the rim. That means shooting threes and hitting layups. Back then, 7-footers were still a major part of the team, but played in a highly supportive role. Steph Curry was the star, and players like David West, Zaza Pachulia, and Andrew Bogut, among others, who were there to ensure that Steph could do what he does best. A traditional offense from a more traditional point guard would see more pick and roll action and, frankly, a lot less threes. But something has changed since then. Stick with the video to find out exactly what, exactly why, and exactly how it impacted the team. I thought about a number of ways to go about the data from my research, but I figured, when in doubt, just go in chronological order. So let's start with 2015. The Warriors championship team in 2015 would field no less than 6 players that are 6'9" or taller. As a matter of fact, of those 6, 2 were 7-footers, a third player, Festus Ezeli, was 6'11", and the fourth, Mo Spates, was 6'10". Only 2 of the 6 were actually 6'9". This was effective, but it gets better. The year the Warriors broke the regular season record, that is, in 2016, the Warriors actually had 7 players 6'9" or taller, and again, only 2 of these players were 6'9". Imagine today's Warriors squad having 6 players 6'10" or taller. But we're still not done. In 2017, when the team won its second championship in 3 years, the Warriors at this point had 8 players 6'9" or taller, although one of them was KD. This was also McGee's first year with the Warriors. This was the buzzsaw that destroyed and wreaked havoc on anything in its path. Teams were terrified of playing the Warriors, just as they feared the Bulls back in '98. The same followed suit for 2018. The Warriors dominated and the championships followed. The following year, however, something changed. While the core of the team stayed the same, as did the identity, there was a notable roster change going into 2019. The Warriors still had 5 centers listed in addition to a 6'10" Jonas Jerebko, but what's interesting is that the only 7-footer among the centers was Andrew Bogut, and this was to be Bogut's swan song, his last year with Golden State. The Warriors were placing their hopes on the smaller Damian Jones, Kevon Looney, and even a 6'8" Jordan Bell, as well as a wild card in DeMarcus Cousins going forward. This didn't leave a lot of room for McGee, so he was cut from the roster. We'll get back to this in a bit, but at the time, this meant the team would be without a 7-footer for the foreseeable future. That year, dreams of a three-peat died when both Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson went down due to injury in the playoffs. KD to an Achilles tear and Klay Thompson to an ACL tear. The following year had a complete restructuring of the team, so I'll skip the 2020 anomaly where the team didn't have either Splash Brother and head to 2021 when they at least had Curry and Draymond. Since 2020 was such a statistical outlier, I'll ignore the statistics for that year as well. 2021 saw the Warriors fail to make the playoffs as they got put out by the Grizzlies. The team had 2 listed centers in Wiseman and Looney, along with 3 additional guys Kerr would typically use at the 5. Marquise Chris, who was then supplanted by Jordan Bell as a late addition on a 1-year minimum contract, and one Alen Smailagic. The Warriors then continued to strip the team of players above 6'9", and the following year ended up with only 3, Wiseman, Looney, and Bjelica, who signed using the 1-year veterans minimum. This was the year the Dubs won their 4th chip in 8 years, and with the lack of size and rim protection, is really one of the most impressive and puzzling championships in the history of the game. For the final year, this past year, the Warriors had 4 players 6'9" or taller, and only 1 player 7 foot taller in James Wiseman, who, as you recall, was traded back during All-Star break. PBJ wasn't a center, so that leaves you with Kevon Looney and JaMychal Green. That's a total of 3 players the Warriors have that could play the 5, as opposed to the 7 or 8 players they had back in the more dominant years. Now for a quick recap, I'll show you a few charts to document the Warriors' approach to playing with an actual center, or literally anyone 6'9" or taller. This first chart shows the change in the number of players 6'9" or taller that the Warriors have had since 2015. This dwindling number shows the Warriors doubling down on small ball in that the team doesn't even find it necessary to sign big men. The team went from having 9 players above 6'9" and 5 guards in 2018 to 3 players above 6'9" and 10 guards in 2023. And this is me being generous considering JaMychal Green isn't exactly a 5. Not only that, the average height of all the players also fell significantly, with the steep drop-off coinciding with the reduction in the number of centers. Want to know what else coincided with this drop in the number of centers and the average height of the players? The average height of the centers fell, and this number isn't insignificant. Now I have two charts because James Wiseman skews the average numbers quite a bit, so I have one with and one without Wiseman. With Wiseman, we still see a drop, but it doesn't look as bad. You take Wiseman out of the equation, and the Warriors' rim protection simply vanished. Here's how this chart looks when placed on top of each other. You take Wiseman listed as 7'1" out of the equation as depicted by the orange columns, and the Warriors of 2023 compared to the Warriors of 2015 to 2018 look like midgets. One chart that's especially fascinating is the minutes distribution among the players in 2018 right before the steep drop-off in the number of centers on the team. The center that played the most number of minutes for the Warriors that year, Jordan Bell, averaged 14.2 minutes per game. Boucher couldn't even break the rotation, playing just 1 minute in a single game. Somehow, the Warriors just couldn't find minutes for the majority of these players listed above 6'9". Was Jordan Bell that good? Or was it that Steve Kerr had trouble figuring out how to use players whose task didn't revolve around dribbling and shooting? Well, Jordan Bell is out of the league while Boucher just averaged 20 minutes a game with the Raptors. Looney is now our starting center, and the Warriors just tried to snatch McGee and came up empty-handed. If this doesn't make it painfully obvious, I don't know what will. From this perspective, it would appear that the Warriors aren't interested in centers anymore. But is that the case? It's not necessary for the Warriors to move on from centers in order to play small ball and win championships, but yet it seems they're unable to draw the interest of a player they feel have the potential to work within the system while being over 6'8". Considering the trial and errors with players such as Damian Jones, James Wiseman, and Jordan Bell, the franchise seems to be looking for something specific. A third chart here shows the change in offensive and defensive ratings for the team over the years. 2023 was the worst year for the Warriors in terms of defensive rating as well as net rating, which is the overall difference between offensive and defensive rating. While the Warriors were ranked 11th in net rating for the regular season, they were ranked 6th overall in net rating for the playoffs behind the Nuggets in 1st, Celtics 2nd, Lakers 3rd, Heat 4th, and even behind the Knicks in 5th. So now we're going really deep into the analytics here, so let's back up and catch some air for a bit. Remember when I said we'd get back to Javale McGee's tenure with the team? Okay, so back when McGee played, it's important to note that he only averaged a little over 9 minutes per game while he was with the Warriors. McGee was only 28 and 29 years old during these stints at Golden State, so getting 10 minutes a night for him at the time was definitely not to his liking, and the only motivation for him to stay with the team would have been to win championships.
I enjoyed winning. Right. I enjoyed hanging out with those guys. Right. I enjoyed playing.
These were the least amount of minutes McGee had played in his career up to this point, and even after that when he went to the Lakers, Cavs, Nuggets, and then the Suns. He then dropped to 8.5 minutes with the Mavs before being waived, and now we have a 35-year-old McGee in free agency. What would you expect if the Warriors go knocking? He knows he's not going to get anywhere near the number of minutes he would like, and considering he's now 7 years older than when he played for the Dubs, it's doubtful he'd see a more prominent role even with Chris Paul. With this in perspective, it's pretty easy to see why McGee would pass on the Warriors. He's already got his rings. All he's looking for at this point is to increase his minutes and play a more significant role. It's safe to say he doesn't see that with Golden State. It's not that the Warriors don't want to play big men, as absurd as it might seem given the data. What the Warriors are looking for is a big man that can pass the ball and defend at a high level, protect the rim, rebound, and bring lots of energy to the front court. Basically a 7-foot-tall Draymond Green. The ability to shoot would be a plus, but not absolutely necessary. You see, these players are already in the league. They're not some non-existent unicorn. They do exist. The problem is that the Warriors want a player that will do this for cheap, and unfortunately, these tend to be some of the most valuable players in the league. One of the major reasons is that they usually have quite the offensive game to go with the rest that I mentioned, and typically have their own team. Giannis or Embiid would obviously be the absolute perfect matches for the Warriors, but you're not going to pay either of those guys the scraps the Dubs have left over to play in the Bay. What the Warriors are looking for is a skilled big, although they'd settle for a rim protector who's also a good rebounder. But this player would have a very restrictive role, playing 10 minutes a game, and he would probably decide he wants to go play for another team, likely in Sacramento. The truth is, McGee isn't what the Warriors are looking for, he's someone they would settle for. McGee knows this. 10 minutes a night isn't what McGee is looking for, and with the Kings offer, he didn't have to settle for it. So the Warriors' search continues for a big man that's at the end of his career, looking to get a championship in a supportive role and not too keen on any other specifics, or at the start of his career, just looking to get his foot in the door. The pickings are slim and the alternatives are shady. Blake Griffin is still available, but not much is left in the tank in terms of adding vertical spacing or rim protection. The Warriors also worked out a few players, including Harry Giles, who signed with the Nets, and Juan Toscano-Anderson, who wouldn't exactly be increasing the team's size, but would add some veteran experience to the team. Considering he's very familiar with the style of play, he'd obviously be a seamless fit. While the Warriors can certainly win a championship with the current roster, the level of difficulty without some additional rim protection is still quite high. If you disagree, let me know why in the comments below, and if you do agree, be sure to click that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content. Thanks for watching. Till next time, swish!